Hi, Easy Divers. My name is Chris. I also go by Tater Bell. You may have heard of me. You may not have met me at the pool. I do most of my work at Easy Divers kind of behind the scenes with Sarah Lynn in the office. However, I am a PADI dive master and I've been diving for a while. You may have seen my video or seen the video of the parade in August when I had my 800th dive at Mermet Springs. We had a big to-do. I had on a crown. It was a lot of fun. And Billy Underwood was my buddy on that dive. So we had a good time. What I'd like to show you today is not exactly how to pack a bag, but how to get ready to get ready to pack your dive so that you have everything you need to make a dive. So, and if you follow, it's a mental checklist. If you follow this mental checklist every single time in the exact same order, it becomes just automatic for you. So what I do is I start at the top of my head and work my way down to my feet so that I've got all the gear to cover all those parts. So I always wear a beanie. So the first thing that goes in my bag, or I get out, it's not the first thing in my bag, but the first thing I get out is my beanie. Next, I want to be able to see. So obviously I wear glasses, but I also wear contacts. So when I go scuba diving, when I go on a dive trip, I take my regular mask, and then I also take a backup prescription mask. So here they are, I've got them out. Now, one little hint that I follow, that I do, is I always keep my anti-fog in my box with my mask. So when I'm getting ready, I check to make sure that I've got anti-fog. Next thing, what do you put on your mask? But your snorkel. Check, snorkel. All right, so now we have your head covered. You've got your beanie, at least I do. I have my beanie, I've got my mask, I've got my backup mask, I've got my anti-fog, and I've got my snorkel. So let's move down to the torso. Next thing that I find is my regulator. So here's my reg. So it's the next thing I pull out. Now, I used to have my computer used to be on my hose of my regulator. I've gotten a new computer and it's now a wrist mount. So when I get my regulator, I make sure I also get my computer. So now I've got my regulator and my computer. Next up is your BCD. So, got my BCD. I check to make sure my weight pockets are in it. I check to make sure I have my surface marker, and I've got all my whistles, and that's it. Now, if I'm going on a local dive with Easy Divers, I need to bring weights. So after I check for my weight pockets, I grab my weights. All right, so we've got my regulator, I've got my computer, I've got my BC with my weight pockets and my weight. Next is, depending on where I'm going, I might need some protection, exposure protection. So now's the time I would pull out my wetsuit. So, got my wetsuit. So, I've got my head covered, I've got my reg, I've got my compass, I've got my BCDs, I've got my weight pockets, and I've got my weights. Lastly, or towards the bottom, are your fins. I wear booties. So, booties and fins. So now I'm set, almost. I have my head's covered, I've got my reg, I've got my BCD, I've got my wetsuit, I've got my fins, I've got my booties. The last thing I want to make sure I have is my Save a Dive kit. Nothing fancy. But if you follow this checklist every single time, whether or not you're going on a 2-week dive trip or a 2-tank boat dive, you will not miss your dive because you forgot something. Highly recommend it. Have fun diving.